Welcome back, everyone. LanceScurv here, LanceScurvX.com, the Scurv podcast. What haven't I said or spoken about in the Black church over the years? We pretty much said it all, but sometimes I believe that we need to go back and understand what it's become. I believe many of us feel as though the Black church is what it used to be during slavery times, in the time period coming out of slavery. But slowly but surely, it turned into something else. Because during slavery, on that Sunday, the Black church was a lifeline. It was a time when you felt the safest, even though your slave master was there looking over you while you talked and preached and worshiped, because they did not want any revolutionary talk going on. And before I really get into it, I just want to say what I've said before, that whenever you see someone put their finger up as they excuse themselves to go to the restroom or to go to the parking lot or just to leave the congregation temporarily, that's an old tradition that used to happen when the white slave master would look over the church. He's watching. So you're basically showing that white slave master respect when you put that one finger up. So please, if you're there, don't do that again. Now let me just speak my disclaimer. I'm not speaking about Christianity. I'm not speaking bad about religion. I'm speaking about some of the people that I've noticed in my lifetime of observing the Black church. Now, I'm not going to say I grew up in the church where it was a die-hard thing that every Sunday you had to go. But oftentimes, because of my mother's singing obligations in different churches, we went. And there were some churches that we attended regular, but it was never where it was one spot. I had friends that they had families where it was a die-hard situation where you had to go to church. And if I hung out with them or spent the night on a Saturday night, I was going, waking up on a Sunday morning. And it was fun. It was amusing. But from very young, I always observed the small little things. I always observed human nature. I always soaked in things that maybe I wasn't supposed to be able to see, but I did. And all I can say is that the Black church has become a mental ward. It's a mental institution. The games that many of us play. And just like they say, when you're silent about something, that means approval. Because just as much as we can talk about the people who do dysfunctional, bad things in the church, we can also speak about the people who stay silent about it and whisper. And some people will say, well, Lance, it shouldn't be about the people. It shouldn't be about what you see in there. It's about your relationship with God. So you're telling me I have to go around a bunch of dysfunctional people in a dysfunctional order in order to find God, when we all should be able to have a relationship with the Creator directly. Now it's commercialized. Now it's a Saturday night club replacement. That's what it's become. Am I saying every single church is like this in the Black community? No, but I would say it's the majority. The majority has some sickness going on in there that's not addressed because people are too afraid to speak up and deal with it. Let me tell you something. The Black church today is no better than a hospital waiting room. In a hospital waiting room, especially during the flu season, You're going to go in there to get taken care of, but you're going to sit in a waiting room with many people who, on various degrees, are sick. There's going to be coughing. There's going to be sneezing. There's going to be moaning. There are going to be people that you don't even know what's wrong with them as they nod out. You're going to have all kinds of sicknesses coming there because the hospital is supposed to be the place where you go to get well. Yet you have to sit around, if not for an hour or two, depending on the size of the hospital, you have to sit around these sick people, and pretty much they may be in the same state of sickness as you, or there are different sicknesses that you can pick up if it's contagious. So the black church, and I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in other churches, all I know is the black church. In the black church, you have different types of sicknesses, right? You do. It's the truth. So how are you going to get away from that? When you're going there to find God, and you're going to find all types of spirits that say that they were going there to heal up, but they don't. You got people who are full of pride. I'm above everyone, even God. I have a Benz outside. I have a mansion and 15 rental properties. I'm pride. Then you have the greedy. They never have enough. They're going to church to see who they can connect up with on a business level or a shyster level. And really, church is just a networking game for their greedy spirit. So they're trying to find out how they can get a job, how they can get this, who has that extra car sitting in their driveway that they can get. Greed, because they never have enough. Lust. I want to use people for my pleasure. So as you see in the thumbnail, you have a woman in a red dress. Red has to stand out, right? And she makes sure to sashay down that aisle to pay her tithe. She waits for everybody else to pay it, but she has to be seen last because she knows that most of these men, especially that one in the banner who is videotaping her, are going to lust after her, and maybe she can incite lust in some of these men and get stuff out of them. You got a lot of church whore Jezebels out there, and they see you talk to them, they will tell you, watch these women who are out in the world, who you meet. Well, I'm a Christian and I have high standards and I have high morals. And the first thing out their mouth, when are you going to take me out? They use the lust that you have in your heart to get, through greed, what they want. Then you got envy. People who resent your blessings. They see you doing good or improving from a bad situation, and they secretly resent it. Then you got gluttony. My appetites are in charge. And this doesn't just mean food. Gluttony for so many things. Everything that you could think of, people can want more of and be a glutton. Then you have the people who, for some reason, don't like you, or they imagine that you did something wrong to them when it never happened, but they have wrath for you. They stop talking to you. They block you. I want revenge. You may not even be the person who did something to them, but you might be the person who reminded them of what they perceive to have been done wrong to them. It's just like a dog bites you and you go out and shoot any dog to get revenge. Then you have the slothful spirit. I don't want to do what I know I should do. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, that can wait. And you go to their house and see how dirty and messed up and in need of some cleaning. Well, it's not just about cleaning, because it'll go back. That's their spirit. Now, if they have a mental issue or something, that's to be excused, because that's what it is. But there's too many people out here who go to the church for the wrong reasons. Prosperity preaching. They want more. So I'm going to go to this church. So I'm going to sow my seed to the pastor because the pastor told me if I give to him, then I'm going to get more. So you see how he sets himself up to pimp God? Here you are thinking you're doing the right thing, but you're being used as a fool. You need to pay your bills. You need to take care of your obligations. Hell, you need to take care of yourself. Take yourself out. He's the one driving past you and you're in a bus stop, counting your pennies, praying that you have enough to get on the bus, and he's driving past you in his luxury car. Won't even turn to look at you because he feels guilty because he got your money, living the high life, and you're struggling. And then you have the cronies, the black church cronies, those who are like the deacons, right? The sneaking deacons. See, the sneaking deacons all know the pastor's dirt, and they're there to cover him and protect him and make sure the cover's never pulled off of the crooked pastor. Am I saying all pastors are crooked? No, but for those that are, I'm going to talk about it. That's the way I feel this morning. And with the sneaking deacons, they make sure that the hotel fees are paid. They make sure that they can usher the pastor over to the hotel so he can meet his new woman who is in the congregation. It's a farming system. They want to know about you. And even you have the female ushers who reach out to you, sister, and they want to meet with you and they want to welcome you into the ministry. So they want to come by your house, visit you in the name of the Lord. And they come by your house to scope out what's going on. They scope out to see how many cars you have or if you have a car at all. And I just want to say that this hierarchy, this way of doing things is not just in the church. You got the church sisters or you have the sisters who want to show up at your house to see what you have, to see what you're all about. And if it seems like you're standoffish, they're going to try to bum rush you. Those kind of people I will never, ever speak to again because you know the game. It doesn't have to be a church. It could be any organization where they want to find out about you and get into your intimate business so they can run and tell people what they saw. And when they get spotted and identified, they get mad. But yeah, when those church sisters are by your house and they got the Bible and they say, before anything else, let's pray. But while you bow your head to pray, P-R-A-Y, their eyes are wide open looking around while your head is bowed because they are in the mode of P-R-E-Y. You are pray. And so they're going to always ask to go to your restroom, your bathroom. And when they go to your bathroom, right, they're going to go in your medicine cabinet to see if you're on any psych meds, to see if there's anything you're getting treated for, to see if there's any prescription medicines in there with a different name, usually a man's name, so they can speculate if you have a man or not, because you know that pastor wants to know that. So it better be your uncle, your elderly uncle. It better be your father. Maybe your father lives with you. Maybe it's a brother or whatever. You say you live alone, but they see 4 toothbrushes, right? And they all look used, right? And none of them look new. So there are other people living there. We got to find out. Do you have any other family members that you'd love to bring to the ministry? Oh, no, my family lives in a different state. Then what you doing with 4 toothbrushes in the toothbrush holder? This is how petty it can get. You see what I mean? It's about your money. It's about what they can get out of you. That's the way it works. The pastor is the pimp and he wants you to be his hoe or another one in the lineup. They have no use for upright brothers. They have no use for straight upright brothers. Well, why did I say that? Because there are men in the church, but you see what's left over. You see what's left over? A lot of down low men. A lot of men who might be married, but they're philanderers, right? They looking for the booty too, but they got to really be undercover because the pastor has the first dibs. And if you try something, you better do it covertly because all eyes are on you. And as a matter of fact, if you got a wife who always has to say, Well, I got to discuss this with pastor. You laying up in your bed and you want to get a blowjob from your wife. They say the marriage bed is undefiled. I'm sorry for being so lewd, but if your wife turns around and asks or tells you, I got to speak with pastor because this may not be right. Well, it may not be right because she's doing that to the pastor and he may not want to share. It's your wife and he may not want to share. He has more control in your house than you do. And I'm sorry that I had to bring it down in that lewd level, but you're the man of the house. You're the head of that family, right? How's the pastor going to know your business? Or you go with problems, issues, or I'll say challenges, and all of a sudden, your wife has to go to speak to the pastor separately, right? So your wife is telling the pastor what problems you have in the bedroom, and pastor just eating it up. Well, you know, pastor, you told me oral sex it's okay to do, but my husband won't do it. He won't do it for me. And I love the way that feels. I mean, I love everything else, but I just love his mouth on my clit. They're like, I can't believe Lance said that. Yes, I did. This is real. This goes on. I'm talking about it, right? What about the people who are doing it? What about the pastors who are taking advantage of couples, married couples? Do you get mad at the weatherman when it rains after he told you that it's going to rain? Well, later on today around 2 p.m. it will rain. Now you find yourself out in the street at 2 p.m. without an umbrella, or you're not in a car, you're not inside, and you get wet, it rains. And what are you going to say? That damn weatherman. No, he warned you. So I'm talking about it. So the pastor's locked up in this room and you just feel he's the next thing to God. You're telling him about your need for oral sex. And he's looking at them big legs and big shapely legs in that dress, and you know what you're doing. That skirt is riding up, and he's like, well, sister, you know, I've had that same problem too, and I will say that for a time, I fell into adultery because I got involved with someone else, and it was very satisfying. They took care of me well, and I took care of them well. And then, you know, a voice came to me, you know, from the Lord and said, well, if you need to find someone else to temporarily satisfy your needs, well, God will send you somebody until your person at home will wisen up and start doing the right thing. Now, sister, is this something that you really need? Yes, it is. Well, you know, I'm kind of having the same issue. And since I just told you, the Lord told me that it's okay if you find somebody to satisfy your needs, then I suggest maybe if you understand that as a holy man, I can take care of you right now. Well, Pastor, is that right? Well, I just told you what the Lord told me. Oh my God, I need that so bad. Well, it's no wonder when they step out of that room that the pastor's mouth smells like her vagina. That's a true story. I heard it. I'm going to talk about a few true stories that I know about. But it's not just about that, but we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down. Like when I started out with some of the 7 deadly sins, and it's epidemic in the Black church, right? So we're going to talk about that with pride. Proverbs 16:18, Proverbs 6:16 through 17, Isaiah 14:12 through 15, James 4, verse 6, 1 Peter 5, verse 5. All right? So for those of you who say I'm lying about pride, we'll go on and chew on that. Pride is much more than a simple feeling about being good about yourself, feeling good about yourself. Healthy confidence is not sinful. It's not sinful at all. But pride begins when you start believing you don't need God, correction, or anyone else's help. It's putting yourself on a throne that belongs to God. So you have in the church a pastor who thinks he's a God beside God, or God's beside him, and what he says rules. Look, he's a human being. I'm not excusing him. But the bottom line is that that kind of power can be intoxicating. You got women sitting in the front row who don't know how to keep their legs crossed, letting you know what you can taste, right? You got all this money coming, and are you trustworthy enough to not dip and dab in it? How many people can resist that? They can't take a little bit for themselves or treat themselves out to the restaurant or pay their bills with it. Well, that's gonna happen. That's human nature. And I love to study human nature, right? A proud person believes, I'm always right. Nobody can teach me anything. The rules don't apply to me. I'm better than everybody else. Pride can wear expensive clothes. It can also wear rags. A millionaire could be proud. A homeless person can be proud. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with attitude. Pride refuses correction. Pride hates criticism. Pride cannot apologize sincerely. Pride always has an excuse. Pride wants recognition. You must acknowledge me. I am the one. Nobody must shine above me, or they'll try to destroy you. Pride wants worship. That pastor's sitting up in the pulpit and you worshiping God, but what do you think? He thinks it's him. It ain't God. In his mind, that pimp preacher, you worshiping him. It's a performance and a presentation. The very first sin in the universe was pride. Lucifer wasn't satisfied being God's highest angel. He wanted God's position. How many people in your life want your position? Especially if, as the word goes, you're anointed for something. You have a light inside of you. And these people who are proud, they can't see you shine above them. So they must destroy you. If they can go after God's position, right? You, as a human being, you're flawed. Yeah, you're not perfect, but they want what you have. And they can't have it. They'll try. But the first step for them is they'll try to destroy you, right? I will ascend. I will exalt my throne. I will be like the Most High. See, that wasn't ambition. It was rebellion. So it trickles down to human beings because Satan, the devil, was the highest angel under God, the first. And that wasn't good enough for him. So you being human, and you have all of these sick people just like in the hospital waiting room. You think you're not going to have to deal with none of these spirits? Many people destroy relationships because they would rather be right than loving. Marriages collapse because neither spouse wants to admit they're wrong. Churches split because pride won't allow forgiveness. Businesses fail because leaders refuse advice. They want to think they're right. Entire nations have gone to war because leaders refuse to humble themselves. Pride whispers, you don't need God. Humility says, I need him every day. Ain't that something? So look for that. But it's like a snake in the grass. You see the pretty grass and, let me just take a walk through the grass. There's a snake with venom waiting to bite into you. In the black church, we talk about greed. Throw some scriptures at you, because old Scurv done did his homework. Luke 12, verse 15. 1 Timothy 6:10. Hebrews 13:5. Greed is never having enough. It's not about being wealthy. It's about never being satisfied. There are poor people who are greedy. There are rich people who are generous. And that's something. Greed constantly asks, what else can I get? Instead of, what can I give? Greed can destroy families. I've seen it happen. Let me tell you something. Let's throw something in there. I saw a mother who had, I'm not going to say the number, they'll know who I'm talking about, and other people. So we'll keep that discreet. But I know a mother who raised her children, whole lot of children now, right? They were gone. They moved on, they're grown, they have their own things going on, and the mother's house burnt down. And I don't know how all the children dealt with it, but there's one child that the mother was close with. And the child said, "Mama, come on over and live with me until they either pay you or rebuild that house." Well, she got a sizable insurance payout and she had the check. And so the daughter said, "Listen, I need that check. If you're going to rebuild a house or the house or buy a place, I need to be able to own that place. You need to put it in my name." Now, this is a pastor's wife, and she's supposed to be a minister also. So she told the mother who was living with her, who raised all of them and worked hard in doing it, because I saw it with my own two eyes. She told her, nobody was listening, but this is how it went down. "If you don't give me that, you got 2 days to get the F out. I don't care where you go, but you're not going to stay here with me. You need to give that money to me. If you rebuild a new home or build a new home rather, or rebuild the old one, or buy something new, it needs to be in my name. Or you need to go." And the mother ended up, last I heard, in a homeless shelter with a big lump sum of money that she was deciding what she wanted to do. She wasn't going to stay there, but she had nowhere to go. And that's a reflection on the rest of the children. Greed make you turn against your own mama. Ain't that something? She brought you into this world. You call yourself a pastor or a pastor's wife, and you're a minister, putting up biblical quotes every single day on Facebook. Unbelievable. And want to talk to everybody so holy. Again, this is not about speaking about against Christianity, but the people who use it as a shield and a cover for their own foolishness. And it doesn't have to be just Christianity. It could be Islam also. All religions, because religions are man-made. You see what I mean? But greed can destroy families. People fight over inheritances. Children abandon parents for money. See what I just told you? Friends betray each other over business. Greed can even infect churches. Yes, it can, and that's what we're talking about. Most of the time it does, because you have a congregation full of sick people. So with all of that, those spiritual germs being sneezed around, eventually you're gonna have the sniffles and get a little sick yourself. So you got to be careful when you go to this place where you want a spiritual ascension and enlightenment, because there's a lot of sick people who just walked off the street and they have the same or different ailments. It's like going to jail. You could be a car thief, right? Know all of how to steal a car. See, jail and prison is crime school, because when you get to talk to other criminals, right? You find out the best way to do a home invasion, but you're a car thief. You find out the best way to rob a bank. You find out the best way to take a life and get rid of or dispose of the body. So you go into prison and you come out even wise in all of this decadence and crime, knowledge of crime. Well, what do you think happens when you go to a church? See, I've worked in corrections before in 2 different facilities, and I'll tell you, in both of them, one was a jail, the other one was a prison. Many of the young men that were there, and some of the old men, even they know, because darkness, the mind of darkness, understands darkness, even if it portrays itself as being holy. And a lot of the young men, what did they say? They told me, Scurv. They didn't know my first name. Some did, but that's where the Scurv thing came from. Anyway, no, it came from the 70s. Mr. Hecht, the gym teacher, used to call me Super Scurv because I always excel with the physical stuff. That's another story. But I didn't tell them to say that, but they knew Officer Scurvin, so they said Scurv. Hey, Scurv, I'm getting out in 2 weeks, man. and I'm going to change my life over. I said, well, what do you mean? Man, I'm going to go to church. I'm going to go to church and turn my life over. I said, okay, well, the fact that you're going to turn your life over, that's a good thing. So you're not going to do anything to land you back in here no more. No, but I'm going to tell you one thing. And this is the sick part, right? And this is a combination of hundreds of conversations that I've had. I'm going to go to church and I'm going to find me a good woman. And I'm going to find me a good woman and I'm going to get with her and we're going to live happily ever after. And she's going to take care of me. And I know she's probably going to be doing good. And I'll move into her house and she can feed me. What? So you're looking for somebody to use. But you know where to go. Because guess what? A lot of church sisters, when they get up from sitting down in the seat that they're in, you'll see a wet spot. Why? Because they're salivating and waiting for this man to show up perfect in the church. So you can say, oh, I found my Boaz. But the bottom line is that all he wants is your resources and your ass, okay? At least he's hetero, because you have some going in there looking for the next man. I heard of a story where the down low situation in the church was so bad that there were church members getting up and going into the bathroom in the stall, getting down on their knees and not to pray, but they giving head to the next dude in church. But you can't talk about it. You can't talk about what you see and what you hear to know it's a fact. So, you gonna go to hell talking about that. I'm gonna go to hell because I'm talking about the hellish things you're doing. But it works both ways because there's so many women out here who are looking for a man and they don't care. They'll patch the man up. They'll get just to have a man. Just, that man is mine. So he may come up with a lie about his past, which is gonna come out anyway because we're in the computer age. Nobody gets by anything if you dig deep enough, but you may know. And because this guy was in prison for a couple of years, working out and buff, teeth perfect, because in prison, you get your teeth done for free, getting all the rest, right? I mean, you better be careful if he wasn't dookie shooting with another dude, bringing you something home, but he shows up now. He takes whatever resources he can use to get a suit and go to that church. Some shoes, a suit, cologne. He may borrow somebody else's cologne. Let me get a spray of that, man. He may go to the mall to test out certain colognes and spray himself up. There's ways of doing things. And he's going to show up to the church. And the pastor always wants to know, brother, I see you're new here. Could you stand up and tell us who you are? And he comes with a story or a short testimony that's edited to make himself look good. He may even put it out there. Pastor, I'm just so glad to be here because I've been through so much and the Lord brought me here and the Lord saved me from so much and I came through with flying colors. And all I want to do at this point is be a good man. I want to be a godly man. I want to follow all of the standards that God would have for me as a righteous man. But I can only do that and really be the best that I can be, only if I have a good woman by my side. So I pray. And so, takes off his suit jacket and the ladies see the bulging arms and the chest muscles and the perfect teeth. And he's got his haircut going on and they're like, oh my God, that's why, you got them wet spots in the seat. So they make sure that when they're leaving, before they leave, they go to that brother, I just want to say, what a testimony it has been. And it moved me. Yes, it moved you all right. It made you moist. Right? Made you ready. You looking at this guy and you just want to jump on him, but you can't because you're in the church. And it's like, well, I just want to let you know if ever you want to come and pray with me, we can pray together because, I'm in the same situation that you're in. I'm looking for a good man and you are a good man. And, I just want to pray that we find the right one for us. Now, you want to aim at that man, but you're saying, find the right one, like you praying together to find somebody else, and then you sashay and walk away and he sees that backside and he follows up behind you and he talks to you some more. And it's no secret Well, with God, there's no secrets, but it's a secret now. Next week, he's laying up in your bed and you doing what you got to do to keep him, but you playing Miss Holy. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of horny, wayward chicks in the church, especially since we have so many effeminate men who ain't paying them no mind. Oh, they'll speak the scripture. Or they'll talk about, oh, no, certain things man may not lay with a man, but they laying with the man. They burping babies Sunday morning from what they swallowed Saturday night. Let's just be real about it. Let's just talk about it. Huh? It's the truth. You go to some churches and that's all there is. Let me tell you something. When I was 19 years old, and I was winning a lot of trophies in bodybuilding. And some friends of mine who I grew up with, they said, Lance, come on over there with us, man. We haven't seen you in a while. Come on to the church with us. And there was a tent meeting in Brooklyn. We lived in Queens. And there was this tent revival thing. I said, okay, I'll go. So I went with them. And we ended up standing next to each other. And eventually, because of the movement and everything, I went to the bathroom. They had moved somewhere else. So I'm standing there. You know, I saw one of my friends. He was talking to somebody. It was almost toward the end. So this one brother tapped me on the shoulder. He said, yes, brother, I never saw you in our congregation before. And, you know, I always like to see brothers who make the attempt to come to church, that they don't go out into the world and fall by the wayside. So, you know, I'm all about saving souls. So I'd like to know if I can have your phone number and you take mine. And maybe we can fellowship together and pray together, you know, because I'm the fisher of souls, the fisher of men, or whatever he said. Yeah, I bet he was. So all of a sudden, there's another brother standing next to him. I'm thinking he wanted to talk to the guy who was talking to me. So I said, okay, I'm here. You know, I'll wait. Not that I was interested in that, but I was being polite. I was raised to be polite. But sometimes people can use your being polite against you. So I'm standing there. So the other guy turns and says, well, listen, you know, I also would like to pray with you. I said, well, you want to pray here? No, but we can stay in contact. A third and a fourth and a fifth standing around me. I got all these brothers standing around me wanting to pray with me and switch numbers and stuff. I said, listen, you know, I'm into a lot of things and I'm very busy right now, so I can't say that I have the time to do so. Oh, but your soul is at risk. Oh, and so one of them, he did a hand movement and he said something a certain way to let me know what it was all about. And this is how he said it. Brother, you don't want to go to hell. Brother, you want to make sure that you're right with God before, if anything happens, because you can go out right now, you know, and you can get into a car accident, lose your life, and you'll be looking the devil in the face. And I'm like, wait a second. He's talking like that? So you mean I'm not looking at something demonic in the face right now? In the church? So they all start fussing on who's going to talk to me. Even the original guy. I said, listen, I'm out. I see what this is all about. So I went into the bathroom. They had like, you know, the portable bathrooms and stuff, but a big one where it was like it had several restrooms in it. I went in there, here they come. Now I didn't feel too comfortable. I had my penis in my hand urinating, and these guys are talking to me. I said, listen, I don't talk to men when I have my dick in my hand, all right? That's a whole different thing there. So you need to back up. I'm peeing, and these guys are talking to me. And one looked like he was trying to get a little view of what's going on. And I'm like, yo, I'm not interested. I told them. So now I had to kick into a different gear. Well, you need to save yourself. I said, listen, I know what you're trying to do. We're in church. I don't want to smack the taste out of anybody's mouth. I'm a nice guy, but I don't roll like that. I'm out. Stop harassing me. I believe that was August of 1982. Unbelievable. I don't know how I went off on that one, but I got a whole lot of war stories, right? Let's move on down. I'll finish this up. You know, be on your guard against every kind of greed. Why? Because greed never says enough. You can own one house, then you need 2, then 5, then 10. Then you're miserable because someone else has 20. Ain't that something? Greed isn't about possessions. Possessions begin possessing you. Contentment is the cure. Contentment says, I appreciate what God has already given me. See, me, and my mother always told me that. Never become venomous or envious on what somebody else has and try to outdo them because you're greedy, you want more. You see what they, no, I am happy with what I have. And there's a lot I don't have. But what I do have, I'm content. And you will have people who are not content because they're greedy and they want you to be like them because they're on fire with greed. They have to be the one in the pulpit speaking the truth. They have to be the one that has more land than you. They have to be the one with the bigger house. When we were building that house out here, I had a fool come to me, oh, you know, you should not build a big house because the people around, the African people around you will be jealous. Huh? No, it was you that was going to be jealous because you were pissed. You don't like it. It's crazy how the mind works. All in the name of the Lord. Ain't that something? And we're going to get down with some more stories. I want to talk about one thing. I want to talk about lust. Lust. Matthew 5:27 through 28. 1 Corinthians 6 through 18. 1 Thessalonians 4, 3 through 5. James 1, 14 and 15. Lust is not love. People confuse them. Love will ask, how can I serve you? Lust will ask, what can I get from you? Lust turns people into objects. I can only speak as a man. You see that woman? You don't see her as a human being. You're an object. You're objectified. Instead of seeing another human being being made in God's image, lust sees someone as a tool for pleasure. You start looking at body parts. I've been there in my life, but I still saw women as a human being, but I'd switch up. My God, look at that backside. You know what I can do with that? How many guys, how many preachers going to admit that? We all come through something. And I know it well because I've been there and I've been quite the specialist many times and many years in my life. So you can't fool me. Jesus shocked his listeners when he said that looking at someone lustfully is already adultery in the heart. Then a lot of us are in trouble. I mean, from them days, I have so much debt, I'm still trying to pay it off. He wasn't saying thoughts are identical to actions. He was teaching that sin starts inside before it shows itself outside. By the time you doing it, it was already in your mind. Even if the homo thing, even if you a lesbian and you just come out the closet at 35 years old, you've been thinking this thing for a long time. It didn't just pop into your head when you turned 34. You were 16, 15, 14, thinking about it. You didn't act on it. Some people act on it. Some people are in denial. I can spot all kinds of spirits no matter what you say. I mean, that's your business with the Creator, right? Pornography feeds lust, of course. And that's why you check the history of your man. Check his history. I mean, if you're getting to know him, check his history on the computer, right? Do it in front of him. Let's say, pull up your history. He's trying to delete things where you know he's trying to hide something. And it's interesting too, because the kind of porn you watch will tell you what that man is into. If you see a bunch of gay porn, then you know what he's into. He's talking about he's straight and he wants to be with you, but he's got like hours of gay porn in his history. This is what you were doing last night, right? You might not live together, but you know what he was doing. He got that big family-sized jar of Vaseline right there, watching his homo porn. Or maybe he wants to see two women. Maybe he wants to lay up with dogs. Maybe he's into old granny thing or the interracial thing. Who knows? Maybe he's into fat women and you're slim. You in trouble. He's always trying to hang around that fat woman. You know what I mean? He's got a fetish for that. And porn will develop that. And then you go stand up at the pulpit in the name of the Lord and repent for your sins. What sins you talking about? Right? Advertising. The ads now, they might as well be porn. The breasts, the titties hanging out, the backside, so it's to incite lust. Once you feel that, you're more likely to buy that product than the one that's in plain wrapping. Entertainment often profits from lust. Social media can encourage it. Lust rarely stays satisfied. It demands more excitement, more novelty, more risk. Eventually, people may sacrifice marriages, ministries, careers, reputations, and families, chasing temporary pleasure. But see, God created sexual desire. Lust is that desire taken outside of God's design. Yeah, you have righteous lust. I'll say righteous lust. You with your wife, or ladies, you with your husband in the bedroom, it's on and popping. That's a joy. That's where you have to choose the right person that's right for you, where you're compatible, where, how do they say? You're equally yoked. And you can have all the pleasure in the world. Fall out. I remember when I was young and a bad boy, and I'd visit different women, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and didn't know where I was, of course, because I was never there before. Because you know when you wake up in the middle of the night and you know where your windows are in the room and where the doors are and it's dark, and you might sleep opposite on your bed and wake up and say, wait a second, this is not right. The window is a door. I used to wake up like, wait a second, where the hell am I? Oh, I remember. But these are things most holy men are not going to talk about. But I'm not going to present myself to you as a holy man. I'm a person who's been through a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to hold back. It's real. Let's talk about envy. Proverbs 14:30, James 3:16, Galatians 5:26, Exodus 20:17. Envy is being unhappy because someone else has something you want. Jealousy and envy are related but different. I wish I had what you have. That's what envy says. Its darker form says, if I can't have it, I don't want you to have it either. See, now you're getting all involved. And social media has become one of envy's favorite playgrounds. Oh yeah. People will stop talking to you, but every day they're steady watching your posts and getting mad because you can do what you do, whatever it is that you do, you're doing it good, you're doing it better. They want to be the one in your position to do what you do with the ease that you do it with because you're gifted and you're talented and those were given to you as a gift from the Creator. But they want it too. I want attention too. I want your house too. I want your car too. I want your status too. Anybody listening to you? You want this and you want that, but that may not be for you. Be mad. I don't care. You know what I mean? And these people will try to befriend you, to get next to you and stab a knife in your back, and they're coming right from the black church. People compare, especially from social media, vacations. Who can out-vacation the next person? Houses. Whose house is better? Whose house is bigger? Relationships. Who's happier in their relationship? Who has a fine partner? Who has a partner who has more money? Who, you know what I mean? Like, damn, it wasn't like this is bad before because everything is out. You just a click of a button. You can go home and be envious on certain people. Let me tell you something. No matter what level you find yourself on, there's somebody out there envious of you. Like I said, vacations, houses, relationships, they could be envious of you because of your body. They got a pot belly sitting out in front of them as a man, looking like they're in their third trimester of being pregnant, and they mad at you because of the way they look. Have some discipline and stop being so slothful. People compare ministries. My pastor, we got 5,000 people now in our ministry. Well, my pastor got 16,000. My pastor drive a Cadillac. Well, my pastor drives the Benz truck, that $500,000. Yeah, he doing good. And you both on the bus stop. People compare businesses. You starting out, and the person who has a business that's thriving or been around for a long time, they just want to talk to you about how good they're doing. But they're envious of you because they see that you can go places. So they're trying to overwhelm you, almost discourage you, like you can't ever get to that point, like you trying to compete with them. People compare followers. I have over 1 million followers, and well, if you cut a deal with the government to be their little do-boy when times get rough to influence black people a certain way, you're gonna get it that way. The algorithms are controlled. When you speak real truth, you're not gonna have favor that way. Trust and believe. People compare money. Now we know that. That's why people go out of their way, especially in the church. Oh, Sister Bradley bought that new car. I know I had mine for 2 years, but it might be time for me to buy a new one. Is that all you can do? Sick people in the church, just like the sick people in the hospital waiting room? Even if you're not in the church, like I said, this can spill out into the black community with this mentality. You think those who were enslaved, who went to church those many years ago, they were thinking about survival. They weren't hating on each other. They all knew that they needed each other. They needed to talk and pass information because they didn't know if they were going to be dead the next day or lynched or raped or split in half. Or buck broken. You the strongest man in the area on the plantation. You a target to get buck broken to teach everybody else a lesson. And you got to go to church with this on your mind. And you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah? Eventually, these people become miserable. Envy steals joy. They're not joyous. Or they portray a fake joy. And they have to show the world that I'm happy. I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy. Well, if you got to get on every day and tell the world you happy, I'm not saying you can't be happy. What the hell are you happy about? When you got to go with the social media bullhorn to tell, I'm happy today. I'm happy. You hurting and you miserable. And you know why. I don't want to know why. But it's obvious some of these people are in pain and they're very envious. See, I wake up with a clear spirit every day because I don't have them kind of influences around me. I know how to keep myself consistent, not only over for a few weeks, and we're talking to social media, but I come on here and I try to talk about something. It worked out yesterday where I didn't do anything. That's very rare. I'll make up for it. There are wonderful programs coming up, but I'm not competing with nobody. I'm not mad at nobody because they're further along in this thing. No, I know myself. I know my lane. Does McDonald's get mad at KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, because McDonald's can't keep up with the chicken business like they do? Does a Chinese restaurant get mad at the Italian restaurant because they can't beat the customers, or steal the customers? Come over here, don't eat Italian food, eat. Well, look, when they want Chinese food, they will come to you and eat Chinese food. When they want Italian food, they'll come to you and eat Italian food. Be happy with what you have. Cater to what talents and gifts that you have. But envy won't allow that. Envy won't allow you to be content with what you have. See, instead of celebrating another person's blessing, envy secretly resents it. The first murder in history happened partly because of envy. Cain envied Abel. Religious leaders envied Jesus. Joseph's brothers envied him. Envy can quietly poison friendships. You smile outwardly, inside you're hoping someone fails. Gratitude is envy's enemy. You can't stay thankful and envious at the same time. I have people in one of my circles who's like that. They spent their whole life calling themselves my friend, but secretly waiting for something bad to happen. So when it seemed as though something potentially bad was going to happen, that they lovingly warned me about, and they just knew that I was going to get got. Oh, see, I told you, I don't go wrong, I told you. And in this particular situation, I went along with it to make him feel good, to make him really show his face. And then when I told him, I said, no, that's not happening. What you thought you heard is not my situation. Oh, he was crushed. He just knew he was going to have the satisfaction of seeing me fall into a sorry state of affairs. You got to be careful. See, but I know what's around me. And sometimes I cut people off, and sometimes I let them stay where they are as long as they're longer than an arm's distance away. They're not all up in my world. I would never allow that. But it's amusing to play with these people who wish to have your downfall. And when you walk into that black church, you're going to see a lot of that. They're all smiling at first. Trust and believe, they're all smiling because the smile is a mask. But when you catch those micro expressions between the smile, you can't maintain that. It's like Scotty on Star Trek. Captain, I cannot maintain this with the dilithium crystals. They're failing. You can't front. If it's not genuine, it can't be maintained. That's why to project or perform on social media, we all can do it in short little clips. But in life, when you get around the person and feel their spirit, it's a whole lot different. And you can see the envy behind the smile of a mask. Let's talk about gluttony. The key scriptures, Proverbs 23:20 through 21. Philippians 3:19. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 10. Proverbs 25, verse 16. Most people think gluttony only means eating too much. It's broader than that. Gluttony is allowing your appetites to control you. Food is the obvious example. But people can become addicted to entertainment, shopping, gambling, alcohol, scrolling social media. That's the worst one. I know people who wake up in the morning time. Not only are they scrolling, but they're sending you links from early morning till late at night and turn around and ask you, did you see what I sent you? Well, it's buried behind the other 5,000 things I received today, and maybe I can get around to it, but if you send me stuff all day tomorrow, that'll bury that. I'm not a consumer that way. I don't. I'm a creator, and I live life. I have a balance now that I didn't have 10 years ago, because it's not as important. You do what you do, you crap and get off the pot. Pleasure, you can become addicted to that. That goes hand in hand with lust and even comfort. Let me tell you something. Let's just frame it this way. The comfort zone is one of the most dangerous places you can find yourself. And lots of times, pastors are afraid to put the word out there as they should do it because they're afraid of making the congregation who pays them well uncomfortable. So they keep them in the comfort zone. Like Joel Osteen, he was on an interview one time and refused to speak about what the Bible said about homosexuality. He refused. Of course, he put that smile on. When somebody's coming at me smiling so much, I'm like, okay, is this a mask or what? Well, you can't really doom people to hell because they can change and so and so. And he took it somewhere else. That's why preachers, pastors, politicians, they all start with the letter P. I wonder why. I'll figure it out, right? But with gluttony, the issue isn't simply consumption. It's about self-control. Ask this question. Who's in charge? Am I controlling my appetite? Or is my appetite controlling me? God gave us desires. He surely did. But gluttony allows those desires to become masters. And those who are true Christians know that the Bible teaches moderation in all things. You enjoy God's blessings. You don't become enslaved by them. There's a big difference. Now we have wrath, which is uncontrolled anger. Ephesians 4:26-27, James 1:19-20, Proverbs 15, verse 1, Romans 12, verse 19. Not all anger is sinful. God gets angry. Jesus became angry when people turned the temple into a marketplace. Righteous anger opposes evil. Wrath is different. Wrath is anger that controls you instead of you controlling it. Wrath wants revenge. Wrath wants someone to suffer. Wrath enjoys getting even. Road rage, domestic violence, social media attacks. Even when you're trying to act like you're not attacking the person, you try to act pleasant, but you're throwing little words out there. Murder, wars. Much of this begins with uncontrolled anger. Wrath clouds judgment. People say things they can't take back. They hit people they love. They destroy relationships in 5 minutes that took decades to build. The Bible says, be angry, but do no sin. That means anger is a warning light, like the warning light on your dashboard. You keep ignoring it, something bad is going to happen. Wrath is when you smash the dashboard instead of fixing the problem. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to let bitterness become your permanent address. And with so many people, they're permanently bitter. Isn't that something? Permanently bitter. Let's talk about slothfulness. Sloth. Proverbs 6:6-11. Proverbs 24:30-34. 2 Thessalonians 3-10. Sloth is probably the most misunderstood of all 7 sins, which we have 7 main sins like this, but there's so many that, are subsidiaries of those 7 sins. So it's not just 7 sins, right? That's the starting point, right? That's the starting line. It doesn't simply mean taking a nap. God designed us to rest. Jesus rested. The Sabbath teaches rest. Sloth is refusing to do what you know you should do. It's spiritual laziness, mental laziness, physical laziness, moral laziness. We find a lot of this in the black church. The slothful person always has another excuse. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'm waiting for the right time. Years pass, nothing changes. Sloth wastes potential. Don't let them waste yours. Talented people can live ordinary lives because they never act, right? And don't get mad when your life is ordinary, when you know you have greatness inside of you. Spiritually, sloth looks like, I'll pray later. I'll forgive later. I'll study God's word later. I'll serve God when life settles down. But life rarely settles down. Sloth quietly steals years. Discipline builds a future. Excuses builds regret. Don't let people pull you into that. You understand? So in the black church, we have all of these things, and it's a crime that they're allowed to go on because somebody's benefiting from it all. And when you have these pimp preachers who benefit from the sins running amok in his congregation, he can dip his finger in on any part because he hears everything first. His little imps bring him back the information. Find out about that fine young lady who walked into the church. And now we got social media, so it's easy to find out more stuff. You on Facebook and you have your GPS on. So everywhere you go, anybody can get on Facebook and find out where you physically are right now. Isn't that something? And there's so many ways that You don't understand the information you share, how it's out there, and how you can be searched. I know it. People can search me and find me to a point, but I know how to get around it also. I put out a lot of information, but there's certain things you are not going to get until they can read minds. And they don't know, because sometimes I can't make up my mind on what I'm going to do for the day. So how is something going to predict my movement when I'm unpredictable? You see, I'm free that way. Nobody knows. I'll wake up this morning and say, hey, I want to talk about this, or I want to go here, I want to go there, and change my mind and not go anywhere. But in the black church, like I said, they have to be up in your business. And it's never for something of a righteous cause. I remember in a church service, several of them, it wasn't a regular church that I went to years ago, but this young lady who always had on these tight, I think they were tights. And she'd have her shirt on, and it barely covered half her backside, which really accentuated her backside. And after the service, she didn't really know me. She'd greet me in passing, but she'd always catch me in the crowd and make sure that her butt rubbed across the side of my thigh. Yeah. And then she'd turn around and smile. Come on now. The Jezebels, the ones in there, and again, the Jezebels are in the church and they're out of the church, but they use the church as their shield and cover while using lust to lure you in for what they want. You have some that maybe never have sex with various men, but they use the thought and the idea and the potential to make men weak with their own lust to make them benefit. So they call themselves Christians, but on their pages on Facebook and their little updates on WhatsApp, they cross their legs in a way where you can see the outline of the thigh and the back side, and they give this innocent little look. And I'm not doing anything wrong, it's just a picture. But they want to lure men in. And they may not want to have sex with them. They just want to meet 50 million men every different weekend and take them on expensive dinner dates so they can get money out of you and they can save theirs. Get the hell out of there. I'm like 50 Cent. I don't know what you heard about me, but you can't get $1 out of me. And they don't care. All up to the ones that want control in the church. They're eventually going to compete with the pastor because they want more control than the pastor has. And they usually get it. Even if they end up sleeping with the pastor or not, they're going to get it. So the Jezebel does have power in that hierarchy of a church. And she's going to make sure to protect her area of influence. Right? She doesn't care about anything else. Her area of concern may be something she can't influence, but she's going to make sure that those that she can influence, she's going to continue to do so for her own power. And if you're another beautiful, good-looking woman who is there for righteous reasons and not Jezebel reasons, you're going to be an automatic enemy because your beauty is a threat to her. It doesn't mean every Jezebel has to be drop dead gorgeous and fine. You could be 2 Big Macs away from a heart attack, 400 pounds at 5'2", and be a Jezebel and have that Jezebel spirit. And the worst part is when you have the pastor's wife, who's the Jezebel of the church. Oh my God. Now you're in position where you have to be honored now, where you have the right to take center stage and use personal attacks. On a scriptural level, they'll use scripture to attack certain members that they don't like. And I've seen it all. If they don't like you, the pastor's not going to like you. And usually when you have that Jezebel, pastor's wife, the pastor's weak because she's the one really running the church. How about that? And I mean, you have different types of covert Jezebels where she may make it seem as though the man is running things in the church, the husband, the pastor, but she's secretly pulling strings. And she's looking over the horizon to see if there's anybody that's a threat to her. Not that they want to take the pastor husband and marry him, no, but they want that direct connection to influence him, to break her hold. I've seen a pastor's wife who was the supreme Jezebel spirit in this particular church. It was a small church, and she didn't like this other woman who was in the church, who her children were friends of mine, her sons. We were real close. I mentioned them earlier. And the mother was humble, and she wanted to serve and sing and help out and different things that they did, that was not on Sunday, little food drives. Man, she tried her best, and she didn't have a lot of money. She had a sick husband and still did and followed through with all the children she had. But that Jezebel wife, pastor's wife, she didn't like it because the woman who had the children, she sung better than her. She had more charisma without even trying. She wasn't trying now, but people gravitated toward her. And the Jezebel pastor's wife didn't like that. So guess what? Witchcraft stepped in. Oh, did I say that right? Black church is full of witchcraft. Whether you're casting spells or you have it in your heart, right? You want that control. It's about control. Doesn't mean you're trying to sit here and point your fingers a certain way and cast a spell, right? Or go home and take a person's photo and do some things to it, which they do that. Social media makes it easy because everybody's taking selfies, not only photos, but you're taking videos and face shots. Could you imagine how many people have your photo in their house around an altar, praying over it? They ain't praying to the righteous God who created you. They praying to something else. Oh, I know I've been the victim of that. Not the victim where something happened to me, but I felt it and I knew it and I found it out, right? Things always come around to you, and if it doesn't come around to you, you can see it with your eyes. It comes around to you in your spirit, and this is why you have to be attuned and connected, because if you're not, you're going to get caught up in something, right? So this woman was trying her best to put something in the hair of the humble church servant who had the children. The Jezebel pastor's wife put something in her hair when she touched her hair and put something in it. And she found these matchsticks that were crossed up and connected and glued together, whatever, had some kind of color on it, whatever. And she found this out. And the way the story goes, all kind of occultic things started happening in the woman's house where the kids started seeing things. The kids started having different challenges that they didn't have before. And so I know them well. And I know the story well. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't go over there for a while. They were telling me these little things were floating around the house, whatever have you. So, hey, whether you believe it or not, it's the intention of people wanting to see you down. And again, like I said, you come there for salvation and to be saved, you might meet somebody who has the same interlocking issue that you want to be delivered from. This is why a lot of men of the so-called world will say the best sex they ever had was from a woman who professed to be strictly all about the church and serving Christ. Again, my disclaimer is that I'm not saying everybody who is, because I know some people who are really, really about it, okay? We're talking about the ones that need to be called out. Yes. And it goes on like that, and they stand up in the church, put their hands up and fall out in the spirit and everything. Oh yeah. I've been through that. It's not like I never had an experience with a pastor's daughter. I have. Lord have mercy. The things she did. We're all human. We have desires, but there's a pressure on even them. They have to act right because you're the pastor's daughter, and you have to act right because we have an image to keep up, and you can't be seen out there with those other kids. And as you grow up, you can't be out there like the mother growing up and behind closed doors. Woo-wee! All kind of desires. So it's conflicting. You got this image, and this is why I always say, when you have a society, I'm not just talking about the church now, I'm talking about society. When you have societies that are very repressive, and you have to act a certain way, and it has to be this type of order, and you can't show this type of stuff. You can't be near this or know it or exemplify it. Under the surface, it's the freakiest, wildest stuff that's going on. I knew a pastor who, I won't say his name, but he was on the phone with a young lady. Well, he called me. He was at a convention, and there was some women behind him, right? Come on, baby, when we gonna go to bed? When we gonna go to bed, because there's another female in the room too. Homeboy was about to get down to the threesome. But he was the greatest as far as breaking down the word and all of this stuff, but it is what it is. Why is it that we live double lives so much in the Black church? Like, we perform church, but we're not really church. We're not really about being the body of Christ. Christ-like. So if you're not in the church, you still want to strive to be Christ-like. Whether you believe in Christ or not, or think it's nothing real or whatever, but that's standard. You're going in there for all different reasons. You want people to see that new dress you got on. You want to see, and let me tell you something, they should put microphones in every church parking lot in the world, especially America, especially the Black church, because folks can't wait till after the service to go out in that parking lot and stand out there for, let me tell you something, if they're standing out there for 30 minutes, yeah, that's kind of long. If they're standing out there for 2 hours, 3 hours, boy, they're talking about something that's going on in there. If we had microphones, we'll find out what the real nitty-gritty is. And you'll have somebody who's talking about you the most, and when you come out and walk into that parking lot, they're going to turn their back because the person that you're talking to is facing you and will tell, oh, you don't turn around now. There goes Sister So-and-so. She had that same outfit on for the last 3 weeks. Well, look at Sister Betty over there. She thinks she high and mighty. She always talking about how good her man is. And I saw him down by the Home Depot. He was down there and he was turning around looking at this girl's butt. You got all this time to speculate. He could have been looking for somebody to help him in the store. But we always go down to the lowest of low. And again, I knew another pastor who, I won't mention his name because it's a unique name. It's not an uncommon name, but when you hear it, you heard the name before, but it's not a name you hear all the time. It's not an uncommon name like my name, Scurvin, right? But this pastor, he would come over to this woman's house. Well, actually, it was a daughter because it was the mother and father's house. She was in her early 20s, and I would say he was about maybe 40, in his early 40s. And how did I know that? You can't lie on the pastor. Now, you making stuff up. No, I'm not. Because I was in the front porch, not a porch that was open, but in New York, you have porches that were open, but eventually the style was to enclose them. So it became inside or part of inside of the house. So he pulls on the door, and the door was unlocked, and I didn't know that. And this is 3 a.m. Now, what were you doing there? That's my girlfriend's house at the time. How old was I at that particular time? I think I was about 18 years old, right? So people knew, the folks knew I was there. We were hanging out. They didn't know what we were doing. We were doing some freaky stuff on that daggone, but I didn't profess to be a pastor. My hormones were raging. And so when we saw the door swing open, we were partially dressed, the important parts were making contact. So all of a sudden we see this pastor. And my girlfriend knew what was up because he was seeing her older sister. So I'm in shock, but I didn't show it. I knew who he was. I've been to a couple of his services. And so he said, "Oh, God, how you doing, brother?" See, he wasn't shocked at the sister because the sister knew, right? My girlfriend knew. "Oh, praise the Lord." Come on now. We know you're going to be calling out the Lord's name, and the sister's going to be talking about, "Oh, Jesus," but it ain't going to be because you're in the spirit. Oh, yeah, you're in the spirit, all right. The spirit of orgasm, which is not a bad thing. But he tried to play it off. He knew he was busted. He said, "I'm just going to go on up here for a couple minutes." Couple minutes? It was a good hour and 15 minutes he was up in that room, and like a vampire, he had to get out of there before daybreak. So he asked if I can go around the corner. "Why are you parking around the corner if you're there legit? Go around the corner and check on his car." I said, "Sure, I'll throw you a little something." Wanted to make sure to bring me into the whole conspiracy. "Well, you knew about it." "I paid you money to watch my car." That's their way of relieving guilt. So, we heard the bed up there making some movement. He was getting his. And the next morning, he was back in church with his wife and kids and preaching. And he was good, but he looked like a pimp. Jerry curls, chains, and you could see it. And there was a gym a block away from his church in the neighborhood. One day he came down there, and I used to run that gym when I was younger, right? And he came to me and he said, "Brother, I have all that space in the basement." And he talked like that. It always reminds me of the song, "She's got papers on me." And then the woman came in the song, well, something from the early 80s. I forgot who made it, but that was a funny song. His voice was just like that. So he came and told me, "Yeah, brother, you know a lot about working out, and I see you getting your body together real nice, and you're winning these trophies. I got this huge basement," because his church was actually in an old supermarket. So the first floor was the church. It was big. And the bottom floor, the basement, was big and empty. "Well, I have a little flow that I can invest in some equipment so you can make a gym for the church members, and they get to get in shape, and then they get to join. It'll be free for the church members. And I just want to say there are a lot of young ladies out here that want to get in shape, and they don't know what you know. And in the neighborhood, we can get more." He didn't say nothing about everybody. He talking about women. So he wanted to use me to be a trainer in this church basement gym to get women in there so he can have more access to more women to pick and choose from. So he wasn't only seeing my old girlfriend's sister. He was seeing 3 of her friends, and they all knew it. This is 1981. Because even though the sister and the 3 friends were churchified by day, they were going to the nightclub at night. And I'd go with them. And my girlfriend, we all went. And while we were in the cab going, "Oh, Pastor bought me this ring." The other one, "Well, Pastor gonna take me on this cruise." And the other one, "Well, Pastor gonna take me shopping and buy me a new wardrobe." And they were all fighting over, not fighting, but they were friends, but they were all trying to do a one-over on each other by what that same pastor, and he was spraying up in all of their wombs. I hate to say it that way. He was checking all of their tonsils, and it wasn't with his hands. That's what it is. So I've seen it up close and personal. I've seen it. I could say some more things. We'll say that for another episode. But remember, the black church is like a hospital waiting room, right? In the hospital, you have so many sick people waiting to get treated. It's the same with the church. And I mean, technically, that's the way it is. Come as you are. You got things and demons you're fighting, but just know that when you look sideways to the other side of the person sitting near you, they might be into the same thing you're fighting, and now you have a reason to fall back into it. Especially when it comes time for lust. especially when it comes time for a young lady who wants to use her body because of all those men who have those nice cars and big fat rings on their finger and obviously money, whether they have a wife or not. Target practice, demonic target practice, spiritually transmitted demons. And they play church. It's a performance. The fake getting into the spirit and all of this stuff. This gospel music kind of thing going on. The homosexuality going on in the church, and they're trying to act like it's not there. Married men who are looking at the young boys. It's crazy. I saw a clip. It wasn't on YouTube. It wasn't on Instagram. I think it was on TikTok or Instagram one. It wasn't explicit where you saw the actual contact, but this was supposed to be a pastor's son. Let me know if you saw this particular thing. It was a pastor's son. He had to be like 18, 19, 20, 21, right around in there somewhere. And for some reason, he was rebellious against his father, who was the pastor. But he had access to the church. So he was in the front row of this church, giving head to this dude in the church. And the church was empty. That must have been a kink or a thrill for him. I'm going to get back at my father. Maybe he didn't give him what he thought he should get or whatever. And his revenge, and to videotape it. So they were holding the camera in a way where you saw the side of this guy's face who was on the receiving end, and you saw the side of the guy's face, the pastor's son, as his head was going up and down in this young guy's lap. And they put it out there. And the people in the church had to know, because if you see your church, you know your church, you see it, and then you figure out who it is. Like, oh my God. So now the father's going to hear about it. I don't know what happened with the story, but that's what it was. And just how there's so much sexual tension and sexual energy in the church covertly. The tensions. It's there. There's so many, and I'm not saying freak. Look, we're all freaky in the sense that we have fetishes, we have things we like, we're sexual beings, we're social beings. We have to have control over that. I'm freaky. I'm freakier than they come. But you have to control that. I didn't have as much control when I was younger, but you got to control it, because it'll, you know, the fire that cooks your food and keeps your home warm is the same fire that will burn your house down if left under control. All these diseases out here, so you know, so you got to be in control. But in the black church, there's a lot of that. It's repressed, and it comes out in so many ways. There's a church girl that I know, that I grew up to know later on. And we ran across each other again. I had a crush on her. She had a crush on me. But the church left an imprint on her sexual identity. Because, let's just put it this way. I'm putting business out in the street, but I'm just saying, her thing was a denial of the actual sexual act that was happening. So she wanted to infuse it with scripture. So or let's put it this way. Again, she didn't want to acknowledge it. So if she wanted me to perform an act on her, she'd pull out the Bible. She'd sit on the couch and start reading scripture. Let's just reading scripture as she's getting eaten, and never acknowledge the person, yours truly, who was doing it. And so she's sitting here, you know, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. You see what I mean? That wasn't the scripture. I just picked that scripture, but I'm just saying she's reading through it the whole time until the feeling started hitting. And she'd collapse and act like it didn't happen. Now she's trying to do something to me with a Bible in her hand. That's crazy. And she'd have to stop and say something and keep going. Well, I mean, you know, the time of my life, and you wanted to get back at that crush feeling you had when you were younger, like to know what certain things were. Oh, girl was crazy. I ain't gonna tell the whole story because it really got bizarre. We'll save that for the exclusive private podcast that we put out, because like I said, I'm gonna start really telling some stuff I've been through. Not to be lewd, I'm not doing this for clicks. I'm just telling this as it is, because as much as I've shared, there's always like so much more. And I've had unlimited experiences in the black church. There was a gay pastor we knew over this Methodist church my mother would visit every now and then. But he was cool though, but we figured it out. It's never no wife. Not just because of that, but hardcore, evidence came out. There was another one that came in after him who had an attitude with my mother because she wasn't coming there every single Sunday. And there's more to it than that, but I was young. I think I was like about 12 years old or something. So he's like, oh, I'll never forget him. I'm going to put his name out there. Yeah, I know he's not alive now. His name was Pastor Holmes, a Methodist church not too far from where we lived. And he said, so, is this a phase why you're not showing up like you should at the church? It's not good to me. The way he said that, like he owned my mother. You know what I mean? My father wasn't there that day. And so I said, I told him phase, and I'm 12 years old. I had a mouth on me. So the only phase that anybody should speak on is her husband, who is my father. I think maybe he liked her or something like that. But you can't do that. So I stood in place for my father, but he wouldn't have said that if my father was there. They can start to get possessive and all of this, whatever, all kind of ways. And there's certain things I'll say that I want to tell this one, but I'm not going to tell it because this person is following me on social media. But, so we'll do that on a private tip. And I got so much more to say, but we'll leave it at that. But the 7 deadly sins, if you want to see examples of it, find your local black church. The bigger the church, the more examples you'll see. And kudos to the good pastors. Kudos to the good Christians who are trying to follow the word and live a clean life, no matter what you did in the past. It's not really about the other ones who are there, but do you want to really get yourself around these entities, right? I can have all the soap and all the nice clean wash rag, but I can't wash up and get myself clean hanging out in the mud pit. I gotta have to have water to clean myself off. Cleanse yourself of these entities with their own wicked spiritual gravitational pulls on your life. And remember, it's not just you. You might be able to be strong enough to defeat these people, but why should you have to fight them? Remove yourself and don't bring them around your family. And again, watch them church sisters want to come by and pray with you in your house to see what you have. Oh, she got a rip in her couch. Oh, she ain't have no food in her fridge. Or she's on psych meds. Or she got 4 toothbrushes and she says she don't have nobody over there. Then they know how to set you up and come at you another time. It's crazy. Is it a mental institution, everybody? Let me know. Is the black church, for the most part, a mental institution? Or is it pure? If you think it's pure, you tell me. And don't come and tell me, well, it has to be, it depends on your mind and how you are. No, we're talking about what you're going around. Because some of you treat it like a spectator sport, like you want to find out what the next gossip is, even if you think you're not being talked about, right? That church parking lot, that tells a whole lot more. Or the funerals that happen there, it tells a whole lot more. And everybody has their good word, and they speak about sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so when they're in the casket. But go to that parking lot and listen to what they have to say. Anyway, I hope this has been entertaining and enlightening for you, because I'm quite sure you've had your experiences also in this situation. I just want to say thank you for being here. Let me know what you think. Do you want a part 2? Because I have enough for 100 parts with what I've been through. And maybe I'll tell that other story with the pastor that I can tell. But we'll leave it at that. Let me see what you want. If you want more, I'll give you more. Much love to you all. Thank you for spending the time here with me. LanceScurv out. And as always, peace.